With its ironworks and its foundry, Dormanstown was always going to be a target for bombers. And on this dark and starry night, in the middle of winter, a bomb had dropped at the edge of Dormanstown, nowhere near the foundry or the factory, but where everyone who worked in the factory lived. It had blown the doors ajar like broken, angry mouths, and the house martins that always used to nest in the eaves were flying noisily about. But this boy, with his messy blonde straight hair, had just finished his work on his father's farm. He was a rich boy. He was kind and generous, but there was a dark and a wicked streak inside of him, because when the bomb had dropped, he had hoped that it had fallen on the school that he went to, and he had hoped that it would have been blown up and he would no longer have to sit directly in front of the teacher's messy desk with the long cane at the front, for the teacher was very fond of using the cane, especially on him. He was a rich boy, but he wasn't allowed to use his wealth to miss school or work. He would have to do the same as everyone else. He didn't just dig for victory, he worked on his father's farm, and he didn't live in Dormanstown. But when the bomb had dropped, he knew that he should go and help. He was disappointed that the school hadn't been blown down, but with his tired golden brown eyes, he could still smile, still raise a smile upon his lips. There was a terrible smell in the air, a smell of earth. The sewers, the gas lines, the power had been cut to Dormanstown, and it was dark. Even though it was cold, you could still see by the light of the moon and the stars. Dormanstown was always going to be a target. But there, in the coldness, all he could think about was walking on the pier at Redcar and going fishing. It was what kept him warm, thinking about the sun as hot as the blast furnaces. But in the darkness, he could see someone or something stumbling through the dark. It was a little girl who was dazed and confused by the shock of the blast. And in her hand she had a teddy. It wasn't her teddy, it was one that she had found in amongst the rubble. It was tatty and muddy, and the stuffing was falling out, and it distracted him from the work that he could have done to help everyone else. His voice was nervous for her. "Where's your mum? What are you doing here? Where's your house?" But these were too many questions, too soon and too quick for this little girl. She couldn't give any kind of reply. He wished there was something that he could have done, to have walked her along the pier, to let her see the puppets by the side of the beach. But it was dark. He thought of all of the things that he could do to possibly keep her warm. With being distracted, the cold seemed to cut through his ragged woolen jumper. He was still dressed for work in his patched dungarees. He looked at her. "Where's your mum? What are you doing here?" But he'd known many things. He might not have studied at school, but he knew that at the back of a bomb there was a propeller that was driven, and he could hear something now, a whirring. He looked into the crater at the edge of the town, and there he could see it, a small propeller whizzing round, signalling that this bomb was going to go off. He didn't hesitate for a second. The girl was shocked. He pushed her to the ground, and he cradled her underneath himself, and there was a second explosion in the town. The doors that had been blown ajar were now taken from their hinges. When the dust cleared, they could hear a girl crying. They could hear a girl crying, pinned underneath his body. The hair that she had on her head was soft and plaited, and it was a red ribbon. She kept that red ribbon. She kept that teddy. But even more than that, she kept a memory of a boy with messy blonde hair who gave his life to save her. And every year, as she grew from being a girl to a woman, she would take her own children to that place, and they would hold in turn a tatty, stitched teddy, and remember that boy who could smile even though things were terrible about him. A boy who gave his life for her.